was when it came to the Soviet intervention in Afghanistan. In 90s, it was Kashmir, and then, very tragically, in 2001, tragically for the Americans, because 3,000 Americans were lost. This is something that we have to explain. How is it that Pakistan gets exposed year after year, decade after decade, and yet when it comes to talks, and not just government to government talks, also civil society talks, it is the Indian side, be it the government or be it representatives of Indian civil society, who are always on the defensive. And the answer is not very, very difficult to see. The Pakistanis have a definite agenda. Rightly or wrongly, they stick to a particular line, and they are stuck to that particular line for the better part of 60 years. So the core issue between India and Pakistan happens to be the issue of Kashmir. Not Jammu and Kashmir, Kashmir. What do we say? We say it is not. Unfortunately, that's not right. When they say this is the issue and you say it is not, you are defensive, because it is they who will decide how the talks will move. It is not enough for the government of India and indeed representatives of Indian civil society at track to diplomacy to say, no, Kashmir is not the core issue. The core issue is something else. What is that? Now, there are certain things that have to be enunciated carefully, well beforehand. There are certain things for which a context has to be created. How do you create that context? The Pakistanis know how to create that context. Because even before talks are on, they try to create the context or create a field that is favorable to them. That they can again say Kashmir is the core issue. How do they do it? They do it through their civil society engagements, where our representatives in this track to diplomacy come and say that Pakistan has an issue after all. After all, let us recognize that Kashmir is an issue. The best things that the Pakistanis have done, or possibly the worst things that India has done, is to get Indian intellectuals to argue on Pakistan's behalf, and that is something that they have done very well. They have done it very, very well. Some of our most articulate intellectuals, social scientists, probably 60% of them Oxford educated and so on and so forth, will argue for Pakistan on any given day. Not entirely for Pakistan. What they argue, and for Pakistan, it is good enough. They keep on insisting that Kashmir is the core issue. Who are these people? In Lenin's parlance, these people are Pakistan's useful idiots. Pakistan knows that given the liberal values that these people have, those liberal values are not compatible with what is Pakistan's ethos today. They know that. Yet they are useful. So you brought all manner of leftists, atheists, so on and so forth to Pakistan. You fed them. Well, indeed, atheism in Pakistan is akin to apostasy and is punishable by death. Apostasy is punishable by death. Two persons are found out, or other have donated to their cause. What apostasy means. And you have an entire nation, Pakistan, in the thrall of fear. And the question is, what must India do? What must India say in these meetings? Now, there are certain things you can say at a government-to-government meeting, and there are certain things you cannot say. But certainly, certain things our media must say, and we have a responsibility out there to say what the core issue is. The core issue is very simple. Pakistan as a nation has failed. It has failed to enunciate, articulate any sort of national or socio-political goal, failed to develop any institution to give effect to these particular goals. That is when it comes to government. When it comes to culture, they have undertaken a policy that deliberately effaces their own culture. What is Pakistani culture? Religiously, they may be Muslims. But when you look at their culture, Pakistan has to accept that the culture that they have is a shared culture with India, which dates back to thousands of years. This is something that Pakistan is singularly unable to face and has done everything in its power to establish. What you have therefore? You have the kind of people that Captain Tipu was talking about. You have to prove that a nation you are something which is not Indian. You cannot take recourse to culture because the culture makes it very clear who you are. And therefore, I have to devise all manner of books which portrays India and Indians as the other, the toughest, the cruel, who have to be vanquished, humiliated in the battlefield. What do you have? You now start to have generations of culturally rootless people imbibing a certain kind of venom. Is everybody here? Clearly not. If they were, you would have a massive rejection of Indian culture by way of films, television, soap operas and so on and so forth. The fact is, Indian soap operas, Indian films are very popular in Pakistan. Why is it? Because at heart of hearts, Pakistan is more